Alright, so reset the BIOS, removed the battery, did this, did that, plugged into this, changed the power supply, changed the RAM, hold down the memory OK button to force the RAM to do whatever. I'll try it again. Anyway, it's right here. You hold it down, and actually it will reboot. Okay, and then we'll hold down the delete key, or just push the delete key, whatever. Nothing ever comes up on the monitor. The memory OK LED will flash. You can see it flashing right there. But no matter what I do, it'll restart a few times, and I can't get into the BIOS. I can't get anything to come up on the screen. There's no video output. Either the motherboard's bad or the chip is bad. That's what I'm thinking. I don't have another chip to try on this one, and I don't have another board that takes that chip. So what we're gonna do here in a second is I'm gonna pull this board. I'm just gonna film it for the hell of it. Why not, right? So anyway, okay. Start by pulling that, and I'm gonna come over here. I'm gonna remove the video card first, and then I can also put this piece back in here that I removed the other day. After I do that, I'm gonna pull the power supply stuff. There should be a little piece down here. This card doesn't really want to come out of here. It's like sitting in there kind of funky. Okay, we got the card out of here. Let's put this back in here. So, I should have known better buying a $20 motherboard from Goodwill. The only saving grace, I guess, is that there is 8 gigabytes of RAM that was on here, and if the processor is still good, but it was missing the fan. It didn't come with anything else. It was just a board. So basically, I wasted $20 because somebody donated something they didn't want to throw out. You know, and that's kind of like the going thing here. It's like, people, if you're going to donate something, make sure you donate it to some place like a computer recycle place that will test it before they try and resell it. Goodwill doesn't test things. They don't have the time or the money to do that. Now, I remember though, when I lived in Oregon, there was a place, God, I don't think it was, it's not Roseburg. It was in Eugene or something, where they had a whole other side to the store. It was near a Home Depot. They had a whole other side to the store, which was all computer stuff, and they had like a guy. That's all he did, was he took recycled computer stuff, and they went through it and put together systems and stuff, which I thought was really cool. But I've never seen that done at any other Goodwills. Let's get these out of here. So they definitely don't do that here. Here, what they do is they take a picture of whatever it is, and if it shows up on Google Lens on eBay as $159, then they put it on there for $130. That's their how they do things here. So, yeah, I don't know. I've been broke and poor most of my life, so it pisses me off when I spend $20 on something that is absolutely not really salvageable for anything. Okay. Get all these out of there. The other ports What I think probably happened is this board didn't work. It stopped working. They removed it out of their computer. They donated it to Goodwill. They took the fan off of it. For some reason, they left the RAM in it. Probably because they upgraded to a new board that has a DDR4. And it had an intermittent problem, so it sat for a while. It wasn't mounted in a case. The board was able to move around and retract, and it worked for a minute for me. And then I mounted it in here, let it sit in here for a week, and then it quit working. So, but right out the gate when I first bought it, it did not work on the video card built in. So I should have just took it back right then and there. But instead, what I did was I went back to the store the next day and bought the video card that was clearly donated with it for $6. Now, this is a, what do you call it? An XFX, I think. A 220A. So it's basically based on a Radeon. And it has 2 gigabytes of DDR3. So I thought actually that was actually not bad. So that's cool. That's decent. But anyway, this $19 board. Basically, I'm gonna go put it in a box somewhere after I'm done with this. I'll wrap it up into some anti-static or whatever. Basically, take the RAM. That's gonna go back into this other computer I have, and I have some more 13333s. So, yeah, it is what it is, right? I mean, I just don't want to sit here and fiddle with it. I've tried everything. I've seen guys take them and put them in buckets of water. That was pretty funny. Like, seriously, a bucket of water. Also, I probably need to get rid of this case. I like the case, but I just don't really want 2 of them. And honestly, I'm already over my head in extra shit. So it's not really a big deal. It's just a waste of $20. You know, you win some, you lose some, you make it up somewhere else. That's just how it works. So, you can't always win. I just can't even think of what the hell's wrong with it. It's like, I guess they just fell from, like, heat failure, probably. Time. Use. The one thing I noticed that disturbed me was one of the corners was, like, really badly curled up. Actually, I think it is this corner here. You can kind of see it. And of course, that's where the HDMI doesn't work. I don't know. I see, you know, some fingerprints, but there's nothing that really just jumps out at me. Since we know the video card stuff doesn't work, and we can see that the board bows right here, I could kind of see it'd probably be an issue somewhere right here if the circuit board cracks. It's not real common for these to crack, as far as I know. Not like it used to be in some other equipment back in the 80s, but it could be anything, you know. Anything could be causing this problem. I mean, one of these connectors here could be bad, you know. But it's pretty rare, I think, that you're going to find something that's like really obvious on a motherboard. Like, oh wow. You know, sometimes I've heard people get lucky and they'll find like a capacitor that's leaked, you know. But in the case of this one here, I'm just not seeing anything. So yeah, I don't know. So I got to figure out if I want to continue to use this case. It's not a bad case. I'd just rather have a tower than a horizontal deal. So it was kind of a nice board because it had the overclocking thing here. You know, let's see. It had the memory okay here where you could push it. But who knows what's wrong with it? So I guess it's just $20 junk. What you gonna do, right? So I'm thinking maybe let's see. I'm just trying to think of what to do with this case. It's kind of hard to test stuff in and out here. Like, it's actually easier to just have a tower. I mean, somebody probably liked this case, but I don't know. It's made out of thicker steel than you would normally find on a lot of things. So I'm trying to decide what I need to do with all this stuff. I've got the other one over there. It works fine. For a little more performance, maybe I could put the video card in that one. I read something somewhere too that they warned against using anything other than low voltage RAM in some of these boards. I guess there was like I don't think it was this one. I think it's the other one. But they were warning against using regular RAM. So I'm gonna have to do some research on that. I've definitely got some sticks of that crap. But I looked at the manuals on both these boards, and I didn't see anything that said anything about that. So that's out of there, and now I just gotta figure out where to put it, and maybe I can test the other board one more time. It's probably easier to test the other board in here. So the other board doesn't have any obvious signs either. It looks, yeah, pretty normal. But this one did have this pin missing on here, but I was able to get it working. The only common thread here that I can think of is I have reset the BIOS on both boards, but both boards were behaving bad before that. Let's see. This board has bad reviews on Newegg and different websites, so I'm not surprised about this one. But yeah. So this is the one that they were saying on Tom's Hardware, supposedly, that you should only use DDR3 low voltage for some reason. I guess it can cause the processor to burn up or something, they're saying. I'm not sure. So these here, I thought, oh, these chips, they should swap, you know. So that's the only thing that I did that I can't think of that I shouldn't have done. Maybe I could have zapped the chip, you know, pulling it out of there. It's amazing how heavy these are. Anyway, these are not the same chipset. This is the LGA1151. And they only fit in a certain way. I don't see anything funky on here. Little notches are right here. Got that there. So there we go. So I don't know why this one doesn't work. I don't see any funny capacitors. I don't see any leaks. I know it did work, but it was doing weird stuff. Let's see, nothing funny on that. I felt like one time that there might have been an issue with it plugging into these, but we'll try it one more time. Okay, so with this one, I'm going to go ahead and move some of this stuff out of the way. Now, this originally was in this case, so these just look like the USBs. And these got to go in here a certain way too. That's another problem if you're not paying attention. Let me see here. There's a COM. These aren't labeled, but they've got to be, yeah. It shows it right here. It's USB 1112, 1314, and then there's even more, I guess, on here. Interesting. They're always missing that one pin. I don't know. I've never understood these sockets, like how they work, because not everything has this type of connector on it. But anyway, if I didn't need to use the ports, I probably wouldn't even bother to plug them in. In fact, I might not. We'll just basically put this thing in here, very basic. Because I can plug everything in the back. Who knows? Maybe the USB port in the front is shorted out. I mean, I've seen it before where the USB port was bad, and if it's shorted, the thing can't start. So, we're gonna get a couple screws in here and just kind of get this thing held down. I'm gonna do like I just mentioned. I'm going to seriously just no. I'm not plugging anything in except for the power switch and fans. That's it. We know all the fans were spinning, so it shouldn't be anything related to a fan being shorted out. So I'll be back in a minute when I get this buckled up. Alright, so I've got that hooked up. I've left all this off. Let's put processor back on. The fan hooked up. We had no SATAs hooked up to it whatsoever. I've got a USB keyboard, a USB wireless mouse, a Linux flash drive, and I'm running the DVI. And then we're gonna go ahead and plug it in. And oh, yeah, we've got a lot more. Sorry, I forgot. I gotta get the power supply in here. Sorry. All right, so I'm gonna go with the larger power supply. I don't think I've tried this particular unit with this power supply, so that's another reason I want to use this one instead. The only downside of this power supply is it's got a huge amount of cabling on it. This thing is a real pain to conceal any of this stuff, but I've had it in previous computers and I know it works. It also puts out a ton of hash in my radio. Okay, so We'll be back in a minute. So on this one, I kind of like to sort everything out. I've got this cable here, the main one. With the other one, I think it's just, there's a couple choices on these. These are both the same. The one's got a double clip on it, and one of them doesn't. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think one fits, one doesn't. This thing really like has all the stops pulled out. Like seriously, they've got like everything you could think of. Well, we'll go ahead and I want this out of my way over here. Let's see if we can get it into here. And I always put my finger behind the motherboard, usually, when I plug these in, because they actually, they require quite a bit of pressure. This one here is not quite looking like it's seated properly, and you could crack the motherboard if there's a lot of flex on there while you're pushing that thing down. Sounds like we got a storm that just hit, to be no radio today. I believe this is the desirable cord to use for this one. I'm looking at this, and it totally looks like this other one would fit. So before we completely abort the operation, I will give it a go with some of these other ones, just to make sure that that's not part of the problem. Let's see what else do we have here. These are the SATA power supplies. 1, 2. Then we get the old, I don't know what you call the old ones, but we got those. And I'm gonna get those out of my way. This is really just a lot of power supply connections, which is really nice. One thing that was nice about that EVGA or whatever the hell it is if you weren't going to use the cable, you could actually just go ahead and remove the cable. It unplugged from the unit itself. Okay, so we'll route this one over here in case we actually need to use that. And then same thing with this. Route it over there. So these, I think, were designed to power some of those Crossfire type of video cards that had the requirement for extra power. We'll try this right here. Goes right in, snaps right in. Okay. We'll grab our I don't know if we should use this or not. We'll go ahead and try this. We know that it worked in one of the computers. And I'm not so sure about the low voltage RAM. I can't remember if there was an issue with that in any of these. It definitely doesn't like my Gigabyte motherboard, so we'll try this one. Okay, so he's ready to rock and roll. Let's see what happens. Okay, lights on, and here comes the rain. Okay. Nothing out to the display. The other thing we can do, we'll try this a few times. I probably should be hitting the delete key when it boots. I mean, like, it appears that it's doing something. I mean, the fan's on, all the fans are on, the light's on, and you know, the only thing that we're having an issue with is there's nothing coming up on the display. So either the motherboard's completely dead, and that's why there's no video output, or the processor is got something wrong with it, or there's an intermittent fault on the board. So I don't really know at this point. Let's see if the possibly the reset button does anything. You hold it down and see. It doesn't seem to do anything at all. So we'll hold the power button down. It's off. I'm going to come in here to my keyboard We'll hold the delete key and see if that boots us up into anything. We had absolutely no activity on the video. And this did work before, so okay. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to shut this down. I'm going to grab my video card. I'll plug it in. Best case scenario, this solves the problem, right? Worst case scenario, it doesn't do anything. Alright. Okay. We got nothing still, so. Alright, so we can't get it to work, so we'll try the old trick again. Do the clear it here. We'll go ahead and pop the battery. Just come out. The other thing too, I think the battery's dead. You know, usually what I do is just put the thing in my mouth. If it doesn't show anything, it's probably dead. Then I'll go and take a meter to it. Anyway, that could cause a problem too. Wouldn't that be funny if it was just a damn BIOS battery? Okay, so let me get my meter out here real quick. Let's have a look and see. It's pretty low. 2.5. So I'll probably go ahead and grab the other one. Let's see. Yeah, 3.1. Okay. I don't know if I was blocking that the first time or not. Anyway, the battery was definitely low on the other one. Go ahead and move that. So as far as I'm concerned, I've cleared the BIOS, I think. Battery in. And then I guess we can plug it back in and be disappointed one more time before we say it's enough is enough. I guess I'm technically supposed to hit the delete key to get into the BIOS too, after you reset it. It doesn't seem to like halt or do anything weird, you know, it's sort of strange. I don't know. We'll try using the other. Video card maybe. He really wants to do onboard. I've spent so much time on this already. It's like I'm done with it. Actually, swear I just saw the screen do something, but then I realized because when you first plug it in, it always kind of does something weird. So, I would say probably both these boards are dead in the water.